So you're working on something important, and then you tell yourself to just hurry up. We've all done it, right? But what if I told you that simple phrase is actually hacking your brain, and not in a good way? Today's explainer dives deep into a brilliant study out of Tufts University that mapped out exactly what happens to our biology when we feel rushed. Honestly, it might completely change how you approach your work. Let's get into it. Picture this. You just glanced at the clock. You've got exactly 5 minutes left to finish this crucial presentation. If you don't wrap it up, you are going to be late, and it is going to look really bad. Think back to that exact visceral feeling in your gut. Did telling yourself to type faster, to just rush, actually help you perform better? Or did things kind of go off the rails? Yeah, for most of us, it's pure panic. Your heart is pounding, your jaw is totally clenched, your eyes are darting all over the screen, and suddenly, typos everywhere. Your hand slips on the mouse, you click the wrong thing, it's a mess. The researchers behind this study pinpointed this exact universal feeling right out of the gate because, well, our bodies kind of betray us when the clock starts ticking. All right, here is our roadmap for this explainer. First, the pressure of deadlines. 2, the science of stress. 3, the route planning test. 4, the psychological tug of war. 5, hacking the threat response. And finally, rethinking the rush. Let's hit it. Okay, section 1, the pressure of deadlines. We're looking at how even just the illusion of a time limit completely degrades our fine motor skills. Moving on to section 2, the science of stress. Let's look at the actual biology of being rushed. To figure out why we get so clumsy when we're late, the researchers used a model called ISAVP. I know, it's a massive mouthful. It stands for the Integrative Framework of Stress, Attention, and Visuomotor Performance. But really, just think of it like a map. It literally charts the entire journey from the second you want to complete a task to how your brain evaluates the danger, all the way down to how your hand physically executes the movement. It perfectly explains why wanting to do a good job doesn't always work if stress hijacks the wheel. This model reveals a really fascinating biological split. The second you face a deadline, your brain instantly does a quick calculation. Do my resources outweigh the demands? If you feel capable, you enter a challenge state. Blood pumps, vessels dilate, you feel totally dialed in. But if you feel like the demands are just way too high, like there's no way you can finish in time, you instantly drop into a threat state. Blood vessels constrict, anxiety spikes, and your brain basically goes into full-on damage control. The researchers use this great ballgame analogy to explain how that threat state ruins us. In a confident challenge state, your attention is right where it needs to be, goal-directed. You're focused on your grip on the ball. But in that anxious threat state, your attention gets totally hijacked. You become distracted by the stimulus itself. So instead of focusing on the ball, you can't stop staring at the game clock. Your brain is so obsessed with the ticking clock that it actively disrupts your motor control. You literally drop the ball. Which brings us to section 3, the route planning test. This is how they tested motor control in the lab. So the researchers had participants look at these 2D urban maps. Their job was to mentally plan a route from the yellow star to the red octagon, and then perfectly trace that exact route with their mouse. See those little orange bumpers? They had to keep their cursor strictly inside the lines. It's an absolutely perfect simulation of the tiny, precise mouse movements we all do on our computers every single day. But here is the genius part. Before each map, participants got a visual cue. Half the time, it was a calm, black text saying, "Not urgent." The other half, blaring red text screaming, "Urgent, hurry up," right next to a ticking timer. But here is the wild thing. Everyone actually had the exact same total amount of time, 15 minutes, to do as many maps as possible. The objective time wasn't restricted at all. The researchers were only manipulating the illusion of urgency. All right, section 4, the psychological tug of war. Let's talk about the dual pathway effect. So, what actually happened when people saw those big red hurry up words? The data revealed what they call the dual pathway effect, and it is wild. On one side, you've got the direct pathway. When told to hurry, people physically move their mice faster, but their accuracy just absolutely tanked. Then, simultaneously, you have the indirect pathway. That red text triggered intense subjective anxiety, that biological threat state. And because their brains were burning energy processing that panic, their route planning efficiency got significantly worse. It's literally a tug of war in your head. Half your brain screams, "Go faster," while the anxiety in the other half is tying your processing speed in knots. To put that direct pathway into perspective, pick a look at this number, 54%. Barely a coin flip. That was the average accuracy rate across the study when people tried to navigate these maps while feeling rushed. The sheer urge to hurry completely shattered their fine motor precision. It's like they suddenly forgot how to use a basic computer mouse just because they felt the clock ticking. Moving to Section 5, hacking the threat response. Can we regulate these emotions? So, if our own biology sets us up to fail under pressure, is there a way to hack it? In the second part of the study, the researchers had participants watch a super quick 3-minute video before the map task to learn one of two strategies. Strategy 1, cognitive reappraisal. That's where you actively reframe negative thoughts, turning that stressful threat into an energizing challenge. Strategy 2, expressive suppression, essentially putting on a poker face, just stuffing the anxiety down and hiding it. And the results here are absolutely crucial for our day-to-day work. Look at this. When folks used cognitive reappraisal, actively reframing that hurry-up feeling, their anxiety dropped. And because they weren't burning brain power on panic, their processing efficiency actually went up. They successfully hacked that indirect pathway. But the people who used expressive suppression, the poker face, it did literally nothing. No change in anxiety, no improvement in efficiency. Stifling your stress doesn't work, folks. You have to actively reframe it. Finally, Section 6, rethinking the rush. How do we apply this? I want to read this quote straight from the study because it totally hits the nail on the head. Telling someone to hurry up triggers competing psychological processes with mixed effects, complicating the simple trade-off between efficiency and accuracy. We all kind of assume that rushing is a simple trade. We give up a little bit of quality to get a lot of speed. But this study completely busts that myth. The feeling of being rushed introduces so much anxiety that it degrades the exact efficiency you were trying to get in the first place. The urgency illusion is, more often than not, a net loss. So I'll leave you with this. The next time you're staring down a crazy tight deadline, or your boss is demanding you to hurry up, what are you going to do? Will you let that ticking clock push your brain into a biological threat state? Or will you take a breath, use cognitive reappraisal, and reframe the challenge so you can actually do your best work? The science is pretty clear, but the choice is entirely yours. Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer. Catch you next time.